Well, it's early summer and graduation time has come and gone for most, right? My son just graduated from pre-K a couple of days back, and it leads to ideas and stories about what might be in the future. And we'll talk about that next on this week's Tips on Tuesday. So we had a fantastic time at my youngest son's pre-K graduation. And you know, these days, those major milestones, right, they have a lot of ceremonies. So his ceremonial walking across the bridge and preparing to go to kindergarten in the fall was very exciting for him. He got a cap and gown, and we are all very, very excited. And all the parents were there with huge smiles, and the kids were so proud of themselves. And, you know, my son afterward began to talk about what he would do in kindergarten, and he wanted to put a cape on to represent his gown, right? Because the gown they didn't get to keep. So he put a cape on, wanted to become the super pre-K or super kindergarten kid, and began to talk about all of the things that he would do in kindergarten and pretending that he was already in kindergarten. And we had a conversation about what he wanted to pretend to be and the types of things in his future that he could pretend to be now. And I just started to think, when will he stop pretending? In other words, when will his dreams and his hopes begin to fade away a little bit and he begin to realize reality has to set in? Now, bear with me here. Stay with me. Reality. Who's reality? Right? And that's the thing this week. I want us to think about, when did our dreams, when did we stop pretending? When did we decide, or who helped us to decide, that the things when we were 5 and 6 and 7, when somebody asked you, what did you want to be when you grew up? At what point did somebody tell you you couldn't? At what point did you begin to believe them? And I sat back as my son was pretending to be all the sorts of things that he wants to be when he's grown up. And I thought, you know, I don't want to be that voice in his head. I don't want to be that voice that tells him he can't do something for the sake of reality, right? Because I think that a lot of us are beaten down by the everyday trials and tribulations and in a lot of cases the failures that we experience, that we stumble into, and it prevents us from continuing to follow that path that maybe we'd lost a little bit of passion with. So this week, I want you to step back. I want you to think to yourself, what's that dream? What's that thing that when you were a kid, when you were 5, 6, 7 years old, that you really wanted to do? Now, ask yourself, why isn't that dream still realistic? Now listen, I know all of us have our stories, but that's BS. BS. Our belief systems determine what we can and cannot do. So if there's something that you want to do, a dream you want to follow, the first thing we need to change is the BS up here, right? What do we need to do to change that? I want you to think about this week. What do you need to do in order to change the BS in your head? Thanks for joining me this week, everybody. I really, really appreciate your time. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon.